son, where'd you find this?
Let's go!
Welcome to the Life of Phys Podcast. I'm your host, Tyson Martin, and on this episode I have KJ Brent. KJ is a former NFL wide receiver and photographer based in North Carolina. KJ's passion for photography has grown fast, and through practice, patience, and understanding, he has come to a point that he truly knows what this art form means to him, and he wants to share a collection of work that truly represents who he is and what he sees in life. I'd also like to just thank everybody for the outpouring of support while I was in the hospital. I'm feeling better. My health is back on track, and in the next few months I should be good to go. Lots of personal projects coming up this year. Some transitioning on my personal work. Podcast message is going to stay the same. We're going to do it every other Thursday. And I look forward to sharing amazing stories with amazing creatives with all of you. So once again, thank you. So let's get to the show.
Name is KJ Brent. I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm a lifestyle photographer. I'm a father, husband, a brother, son, creative thinker, out of the box, corny kind of guy. Played sports for a long time, and now have transitioned into a life where I've been able to find a new spark and kind of figuring out how that works for me and implementing that into the new life that I have now. So having fun with it.
The way you added the finding a new spark, that's how I felt. For me, my connection to the world at one point was strictly my skateboard. 100% skateboarding. That was my creative outlet. You know, being able to push my body to crazy limits that I never thought possible. And then it was a combination of concussion syndromes and broken ankles that made me stop. And I was lost. I was like in this whirlwind of trying to figure out how to be creative without losing my mind. And my daughter handed me a camera and let me shoot it once, and she was going to Mexico to be a trainer at a resort. And she said, "Dad, I need to sell this camera." So I bought it. And then, long exposure water, click. Oh, that sucked. Thousands of photos that were junk. And then I got one that showed the water in motion. And I was hooked, and I've been hooked since. I guess 2019 was when I got serious. So there's that. We have that connection. You had your spark with your sports, and now that new light in your life is having that camera.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. So why don't we get into a little bit about you growing up and moving into finding after through sports and after finding the camera.
Yeah, so I was always into sports. I started playing soccer, got into baseball, basketball, and I even did gymnastics when I was like a toddler for a little bit, which I think soccer and gymnastics helped a lot with what I was told. But I found very quickly that baseball and basketball were two of like my big time loves. So I focused a lot on that at a young age. I played football all the time. I played in the street. I played in the backyard. I played with my friends. We played tag, two-hand touch. We played tackle. But I never saw myself as a football player because I was always the skinny, lanky kid. Looked like I weighed, maybe 80 pounds soaking wet. So I see football players that were my friends, and I see on the and I'm like, I just don't have that. I don't have that look. And I wasn't that physical of a kid either. Like I'll be physical, but I felt like that was a different level that I just wasn't ready for. But I found my place in baseball pretty quickly. I loved basketball. Baseball was my first love. So I became a pitcher, center fielder, played that for a long time, played travel ball at AAU. And I actually was on a team here in Charlotte, a travel team, club team, and they quickly burnt me out. So I kind of lost love for the game with that team and how I wasn't ready for that kind of baseball yet. And I wasn't aware of that. But at the same time, I was just getting into football. So I started football in 8th grade. Again, very bad. Didn't play a lot. I played maybe a couple for 50 seconds at the end of a game or end of a blowout. And then sometimes they put me at linebacker or cornerback just to get me burned. So it was fun though. We had a really good team. My middle school team, before I even got there, had gone undefeated all 3 years. They had a really solid team, a lot of big guys. But again, I was a 6'2" guy at the time. I hit my growth spurt in seventh grade, and I was maybe like 115. So very, very tiny guy. Pads ate me up. And going into freshman year, I was going to play again. Went to tryouts and things went well. I had really no expectations at all because I was trying to focus on, baseball and basketball still. And I remember the coach I was there at 8 a.m. because JV had practice at 9, varsity practiced after. They didn't really have any announcements on who made the team, who made what team. They weren't making any cuts for either JV or varsity. So I just kind of assumed that I was on JV because we were a brand new school, didn't have a senior class. So they were kind of lucky. I was able to play on at least one team. So I was lacing them up, and when the receiver coach came over and he was like, "Why are you here so early?" And I was like, "I'm going to practice. JV's at 9 o'clock." And he's like, "Yeah, you're on varsity. So you got a couple hours until we practice." I was shocked. Again, I had zero expectations to ever touch the varsity team. I had played one season, maybe had one catch. Remember it was a one catch slant. I think it was against Parkwood here. Had 12 yards. That was my stats for the entire year. Nonetheless, I waited a few hours, went to varsity practice, and ended up having a pretty good freshman season. Again, the whole season, I was kind of at that point now where like, I don't know if football is really a sport that I can really see myself playing for a long time, even making varsity. But I got more playing time than I thought I would. And we ran an odd offense to where as a receiver, I'm blocking more often than not. It's kind of like, it was like the wishbone option, a lot of running, a lot of blocking. So not really too much fun for a receiver. But then that coach left, new coach came in and kind of took me under my wing, Coach Chadwick. And I guess he saw something in me that I actually did not see yet. And he was like, you can be pretty good. You have the size, you have, the skill. It's very raw. And he kind of helped mold those skills into something that by the beginning of my sophomore season, leading up to it, I was like, I felt a lot more confident than I thought I ever would in football. I ended up breaking my ankle that season before the season even started. But still, that he helped me keep that confidence, even though I missed the whole season. Came back towards the end of the season for the playoffs, and leading into the off season, I think the conversations and his belief in me helped me think like, hey, maybe there's something here. I'll try and feel out. So he put me in contact with some camps. I went to Ricky Prohl's camp. I remember at the time, Keenan Allen was there. He was in high school going to Cal, I think at the time. I remember I met Matt James there, a bunch of other guys that some of them still play in the league. Some of them I, met in college. And again, it felt like a fish out of water. These guys had been playing since they were little kids. They had skill. They were super, super seasoned. But I went in there, competed, and I had a conversation with Ricky Prohl afterwards, and he was like, how long have you been playing? We had a good conversation. And again, he saw something again that I hadn't really seen yet. I hadn't noticed in myself and I'm still trying to find. And moving forward a couple months later, I go to a UNC camp, and Butch Davis was the coach there. And again, Eric Ebron was there. He ended up going to UNC and played in the league for a long time. We actually played together in Indy, but both of us were very like young, skinny guys, just trying to, see what we could make shake in football. And at the end of that camp, I had a good camp, and they offered me on the spot. And so I remember driving home with my dad after that camp, and I was just like, what just happened? Like I still hadn't gotten to the space where I was like, I really want to focus on football. And yet I just got a full ride offer to UNC Chapel Hill. So I really had to think about what I was going to focus on. I was already stopping baseball because like I said, I was on that burnout track. I'd stopped that. I was playing basketball at AAU, and I was actually running track too. So that was the pivotal moment. I was like, okay, there's something here. Let me attack it. And I did. I actually stopped playing basketball to focus more on football, run track. I could help translate to the game. get me a little faster, quick twitch muscles, things like that. And then after UNC, things, I started getting visits. I started getting, having visits to other colleges, having coaches talk to me, things like that. And towards the end of college, I had committed to South Carolina. So it happened very quickly. I went from thinking I was going to go to school for baseball. I wanted to go to school for baseball, and then getting an offer like that for football. And then now I'm going to college for football, in one of the biggest conferences in the nation. So it was, I don't think now talking through it, I've talked through my story before, but like, I never really think about how fast it happened. I didn't really get a chance to like realize what was going on. I just kind of run with it. And that's kind of how I live my life. I just kind of move like water, and I move with the punches. Played at South Carolina for 4 years, didn't get a whole lot of playing time, opportunity, transferred to Wake Forest my 5th year. That was a decision that I was like, if I really want to have a chance to even make an NFL team or even have a tryout, like, I got to put myself first. I'm a very loyal guy. I loved being at South Carolina. I graduated. I put my 4 years in. I put my effort in and put a lot of work in. Just didn't work out. So Wake Forest was a really good opportunity. Coach Higgins, Coach Clausen and that team, I owe a lot to. And I tell them still to this day that without that opportunity, I wouldn't have had my time in the NFL. The team took me in very quickly. So it was a good season. And then I ended up being undrafted by the Oakland Raiders in 2016, played for 4 years, bounced around a little bit, played at Indy, where I made the team middle of the season when I got there on practice squad. Had some injuries at inopportune times during training camp. And as a guy that you're not established and you don't have a guaranteed contract and, long-term contract, if you get hurt at that time, you miss 3 preseason games, the chances of you sticking around are pretty slim. So that's what happened. I got cleared. I bounced to Tampa Bay on practice squad. And then that following year ended up having a concussion that lasted 2 months. And then I always told myself, I'm kind of like speeding through, kind of giving an idea of how the journey was. But I told myself from the get-go, no matter if I was able to be fortunate enough to play 20 years or 1 year or 2 years, whenever I felt that moment that it was time for me to move on to what's next, I had to grasp it and I had to take it, because people I saw it time and time again. People would fight it and had that battle with themselves. Like, should I hang it up? Should I not? I still got a little bit more juice left. And I remember I was in Charlotte Douglas Airport here, headed to Tennessee to work out for the Titans. And it was just like a moment of clarity in the security line. I don't know why. It had nothing to do with any of the concussion or injuries that I had prior. It was just like, hey, all these circumstances are in play. Obviously, I'm going to try and make this team get signed tomorrow for the Titans. If I don't, I'm going to give it a week, because sometimes things can happen business-wise or injury-wise. They can call you back. But I'll give it a week, and if I don't hear anything about a week, I'm done. So they didn't sign anybody that day. I had a good workout. They actually had my receiver coach that I had at Oakland there at the time, so I knew him. I knew kind of how his regimen and what was expected of the workout. But it just didn't. It wasn't time to sign anybody. I gave it a week. Looked at my wife and was like, "It's time." And it was a difficult decision. I'm happy that I was content with it though. Like, I'd had that moment of clarity. I was content as you can be playing a sport for that long. The majority of my life, put a lot of work into it, sacrificed a lot of time with other people in my life. But it was tough. I still think about it to this day. It was one of the more enjoyable moments of my life and time frames of my life. But it was time to move on. And then, like, I think a couple of weeks later, we found out we were having our first kid. So, like, it just kind of worked out time wise. It was time to move on. It was time to make that next step. And then started that transition. So it's kind of how I transitioned out of football I'm in sales now. I love the company that I work with. And then I found the camera. It was my next spark, I say, after football. That was my spark for a long time. And I always got to have something in life to really give me that kind of obviously outside of my wife and kids.
Well, it's pretty incredible. I mean, through hard work and determination, you made it. You were in the top 2% of people in the world who made it to the NFL. I see so many kids now, and like you, baseball was actually my first love.
Okay.
I loved baseball. My dad was a huge football guy, so there's a lot of butting heads about what I wanted to play. And then I quit it all and started skateboarding. Boy, he loved that, let me tell you. Um, but to make it there with that grit and that determination it takes to, like I said, I have a friend who played in the league, and I watched how hard he worked, just every single day, worrying about being cut. Like, man, if I miss this because I'm a number 3, like I'm on there. Like they can send me wherever. My life's going to be uprooted again.
Yeah.
So one of the neatest things I heard you say was when you had that moment of clarity. The best part about that moment of clarity, from what I can read into your story, is you weren't that guy forcing himself year 10, multiple concussions, starting to worry about, man, I'm not remembering things. So you walked away at the perfect time. You have, your wife was pregnant, daughter, all this stuff, man. Like, it's so cool to hear like that clarity hit you before you forced yourself to keep pushing at it. You walked away at the perfect time. So what brought the camera into your life?
I got a camera first when I was in Oakland, 2016, and I got it I was like, I'm gonna try out vlogging. Like, there's not a lot of people. This is before TikTok and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought about vlogging kind of behind the scenes. We had training camp in Napa, so like it was just like I didn't think a lot of people besides Hard Knocks had good insight as to like what goes on. Not even a player that everybody knows about. Like at the time, we had Derek Carr and Michael Crabtree and Mark Cooper and guys that people are talking about them all the time. To kind of give more behind the scenes of guys like that. Like someone like me, undrafted, I'm a free agent, I'm trying to make the team, but I'm in the NFL. Maybe I can kind of give some insight as to how that lifestyle is, or how it feels, or what's going on behind you know, my eyes. And so I did a couple videos. I realized very quickly that two things. One, the vlogging lifestyle, like it felt uncomfortable. So I was trying to work through that. And two, I didn't like how it felt to be vlogging and how it may have looked to the team and organization, where like this guy's trying to make the team, but he's kind of focused on this too. Like he's vlogging. Like it just didn't feel right. Like I didn't feel like I was one of those guys that was established enough to like worry about that stuff. Like I had to focus on what I needed to focus on. Right. So I kind of put it on the back burner. I did it on my own time. Like I remember doing a vlog of, it was our 10-year anniversary of being together. Me and my girlfriend at the time, not my wife. So I did like a vlog of that day. She came down to Tampa. So like different things like that going on in my life. I did like a juice cleanse for a day. I did like just like weird stuff. But again, never really felt comfortable. So I kind of stopped doing the YouTube channel. But I was still taking pictures. It was on auto. I had no idea. Every time I turned it to that little M, it like blew out. It was just white. I was like, I have no idea how to take a picture like this. So I'll keep it on the little green A. It's obviously taking good pictures, so I'll keep it there. And I remember one of the pictures that like I took that was like, okay, this is cool. This is a different type of photo. It's not like a generic stock photo you can find. We were in Chicago. I had a Nikon D3400, I think, stock lens that came with it. And I took outside the window of our hotel. It's black and white. It was a foggy kind of night. And I just took it and I uploaded it to my phone. I was like, this is a dope photo. And it kind of tweaked my interest a little bit more to continue taking photos. And I took photos that entire weekend. I didn't really take that many videos at all. I was in a bad mental state, not in a like unhealthy way, but with the camera, I always felt like I had to have a top end Sony, a top end Sigma lens, and all these kind of things. So like I felt like the camera that I had, I wouldn't have been able to do what I know I can do now with any camera. So like I sold that camera. I was actually in Indy. I got a vlogging camera, a small vlogging camera, quickly sold that. Cause again, the vlogging thing, I was like, I don't know why I just bought this for this. Cause I'm kind of done with this. And I got a Canon EOS M50. I got that camera because it showed me that I heard that it had good photo quality, but also you can vlog with it if you wanted to. Found myself taking way more photos. But again, even with that camera, I sold it very quickly because I was like, I want to find a better camera. I had no business thinking that because again, I wasn't even shooting manual yet. I didn't know actually how to work a camera. I just knew how to click a button and take a photo. As soon as I sold it, I was like, I kind of regretted selling it that fast. But instead of buying a new camera, this is around 2019-ish. right around when I was stopping football. And I was like, all right, you're not buying a new camera. You have a good iPhone. Use your iPhone until you understand how to use a camera. So I remember downloading. I forgot what app it was. I used obviously the camera from the phone, but I used an app that allowed me to use like no controls. So like expose different exposure. So like I had no idea what these things meant. I spent so much time on YouTube watching people talk about how to expose a camera, what the controls meant, like how to actually take a photo, composition, rule of thirds, like all these different terms in photography that I had no idea the definition of. I spent a lot of time in 2020 during COVID, like learning how to use a camera, the essence behind photography, how to edit a photo, what Lightroom was, Photoshop. And I don't use Photoshop, but just like trying to figure out where I fall in place when it was time for me to get a new camera. Later that year, I got a camera, got a Sony A7 II, and from then I was like, I'm in it. Like I'm full blown in it. It was kind of around the time 2020, not that long after you kind of felt like I'm dedicated to this. That's when I found that's when I knew it was like that spark. I had a kid. I was taking photos of her all the time. Like I'm loving this. I'm enjoying this. This is no longer a hobby. I'm not learning. I'm still learning, obviously, but this is my spark. So that's how I kind of got into photos and kind of got out of that bad mental state of I need a really, really good camera to make a good photo.
It's amazing. I fell into the same thing. I had the Nikon 3100 or whatever it was, similar to what you had was my first thing. And then I went in to buy a Z6 or a Z6 when it came out. So I was going to stick Nikon, right? That was it. That's all I knew. I knew that name. So I went in and the guy behind the counter said, "Hey, just got this new Fuji X-T3 in. You should try it." And he pulled it out, and I loved the tactile feel. I loved the knobs. Yeah. And like you, I was still trying to figure out how to shoot manual. Same problems. Every time I tried to take a photo, it was white or it was really dark. And I'm like, I don't know. YouTube University. But then COVID times, I actually was off work for 3 months. And every morning, I live in a forested area, so every morning I'd just go for walks. And I'd be gone from 6 a.m. till noon, just shooting photos of everything, just thousands of photos I put through that camera. But then I got caught up in the gear thing. Oh, well, maybe if I had, a 5D Mark IV with a 400mm lens, I could take better wildlife photos. Then I realized that wasn't my jam, and then I went back to Fuji. So I've left Fuji 5 times. You never know what is going to spark you to shoot and feel comfortable. So I bounced around. I've shot every brand except for Sony. I've never owned a Sony. Not that I haven't wanted to. It just wasn't in the cards at the time.
Yeah.
And, then I went back to Fuji with the X-T5, and it was great, but it was very clinical. Images they were very, very sharp. And I shoot the style of stuff I shoot, that sharpness really didn't matter. It didn't have the soul of their older sensor that I loved. And then I got crazy and I put it up for sale. The guy traded me an X100V for it. And then my friend Brady had a brand new Ricoh, and I actually wanted the Ricoh because it fits in your pocket. And he offered me a deal that I couldn't say no to. And I've now officially just shoot a Ricoh and then a Hasselblad 500 for film. So, that's my setup now. And I realize when I look back at all the money that I wasted and all the unnecessary purchases, that causes a lot of strain on you mentally as well. Because you're sitting there going, yeah, no problem. I'm going to get this camera and it's going to elevate me and I'll be able to pay that back, no problem. And then you're like, I haven't sold a thing. I'm not even trying to. Like, it makes no sense. It's a weird circle.
I think one of the, like how I look at it, I look back at it, I just laugh at it now. I went through, I think, 4 or 5 cameras within a span of 2 or 3 years. Like that, I had no business doing that, but it did teach me a lot. Like it got me to that point where I was like, use an iPhone, learn the process, like learn what, and doing that, forcing myself to do that took me out of that bubble of trying to have the best next thing and understanding what it does take to take a good photo. I think we're all trying even professionals, even ones that have been around, the Gordon Parks of the past. Like, I think everyone's still always trying to find the best photo they've taken, even if if you ask them, like, what's the best photo you've taken, they point to that one, but they're always trying to find the next one, right? Um, that's what I wanted to get to, and I think that's what helped me get to that point of understanding. Hey, the camera is kind of a extension um, of your own process, and I've seen people take a photo, like a good photo with a can. It looks like a can of Coke, but it's a film camera. Like, it doesn't have to be a Leica, it doesn't have to be a Sony, it doesn't have to be a Fuji. Um, I have good disposable camera photos that I love, and I post it on Instagram, okay, that are part of like future photo books that I want to have. So that's kind of how I look at it. I don't regret it. I kind of laugh at it, especially now that it's gotten to me where I am today.
I don't regret the decision to try different things.
Yep.
That's what's got me to this point of using a Ricoh for a year and creating a book from Ricoh images. And then the next part of that is Very Good Presets is one of my podcast sponsors. I'm going to only edit with their preset. So every photo will start with their preset and I'll work it into my style. But,
nice.
And I'm just I want to simplify my whole platform. I want to be able to, I've got some travel plans this year. Like I was telling you, South Carolina is high on my list because I'd love to meet my brother and his family. There's a rumor I'm headed to New York at the end of September for 4 or 5 days. Never been. Looking so forward to going and shooting some street there. And all of these things are going to be captured in this book I'm going to put out. And that's what gets me excited now. Not the next, 50 mil 1.0 or anything like that. This Ricoh will do everything I need.
Yeah.
If I need to get closer, or if I need to zoom in, I'm going to walk closer. I need to be wider. I'm going to step back and I'll do what I have to do.
Challenge you to change your approach and change your, skill set too. But now you have that mindset. You can just focus on the book, focus on having fun, creating photos, and that's ultimately what it's all about.
Yeah. And I think what really, really pushed me into simplifying was this podcast. I'm so busy with recording and talking to people and creating these friendships that are some of the coolest people I've ever had the opportunity to talk to, that are very like-minded. And we all have the same end goal, is to just live a good life and enjoy what we do. That I'm so grateful for this. This has been a whirlwind journey since February, but it's been worth every sacrifice I've made to this point. And I'm recording with, I think, till the end of this month, and I'm all September. I am not going to touch the microphone. I'm going to do some edits. So I have enough episodes. I have enough episodes after I record to the end of the month to get me through to, man, I could probably not record another episode till after Christmas.
Cool.
So I've got
the holidays.
Yeah, I want to step back. The whole goal with this is to build something that I'm proud of, that my family's proud of, but somehow can maybe one day pay our bills so I can be home more instead of all the years I've been working hard, in my job.
And I think you'll get to that point. It's a good, I've always thought about doing something like this. I've never executed it, and you're doing it and you're having genuine conversations. It doesn't feel forced when you listen to it. And not only could you take a step back and try and figure out how to maybe pay your bills and stuff like that with it, but I'm sure it gives you a whole ton of different perspectives to fine tune your own craft, maybe take little nuggets here. Cause that's how I think about it when I talk to people about photography or whatever it is in life. I love perspective. I love other people's perspectives and opinions, because I can take, even if I don't agree with it, or it might not work with me, there's something that I can take from it and kind of make it my own. And I'm sure you probably do a lot with that, with the different people you speak to.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, everybody has a different look or a different reason that camera is played into their lives. Yeah. And I mean, we're in the process now with the podcast of stepping out to other art forms, athletes. We're looking at more professional skateboarders, all these different realms, because it's all a creative outlet. So the connection between the creativity and the mental health is so important. So it's neat to hear their perspective on why their craft means so much to them. You know, and I'm looking at your Instagram now, and you have a picture of a gentleman's hand smoking a cigar. You know, I'm a huge fan of hands because a hand tells so much of a story. I love that shot, and I've been browsing your stuff as we're talking here, and you have your composition is very on point. Like, I can see what you're looking for. I can read a story in your image. Like, I don't have to ask you, oh, what did you want in that one? I can read what, I feel a story, and that's such a gift. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce. I'm looking forward to, continuing to build our friendship, through this mutual love of photography.
Yeah. Compositions. That's one thing I always think about. Is I'm not really think about it, but it's one thing that I know I can continue to improve upon, because I see other people's composition. I don't compare myself to it, but it's just kind of like I see different ways that someone will look at a photo or look at something in life, and like how they frame it or how they draw you to that subject that they're trying to focus on. I think it's incredible what different photographers can kind of come up with to lead you to something that they see or they find beautiful. So I'm happy to hear that it resonates. My composition resonates with someone else as well.
I also love the fact that you tend to capture its real life moments. Like you have moments like what I'm looking at here of people in the kitchen, and gentleman's just got a huge grin and a laugh on his face. Like, you're capturing real life. Yeah. Capturing it as it happens. You're not like, okay, that was cool, so the next person that walks through, I'm going to get it. Right? Like, I shoot the same way. I capture whatever I see. I don't plan anything. I'm not a planner. Yeah. Like, I just go for walks. Like, right after this, it'll be 7:15 in the morning here, and I'm going to throw the Rico in the pocket. Oh yeah, man, I'm 3 hours. Like, I got up at 5 a.m. this morning.
I didn't think about that when I moved this up a little bit. I apologize.
Dude, like I said, man, I care about your story. I care about who you are, and I care about this podcast and the people who want to hear your story. If I have to lose an hour's sleep, it's no sweat off my back.
I appreciate it.
But I'm going to get out and go walk. I'm going to go walk for a couple hours because I have another podcast to record at 10. But I'm going to go shoot some photos for 2 hours. No one's awake yet. It's my favorite time in my little town I live in. And, I'm going to just capture what I see. So, connection between your creativity, whether it was your athletics or your photography, to mental health. Like, how important is it for you to keep that creative spark, to keep your mental health in a positive mindset?
Vital. It's a like top priority, outside of obviously me and my wife keeping our kids alive and feeding them and providing for them, and making sure that my wife, it feels loved and secured and all that kind of stuff. I think for me to be able to do that, I'm a big proponent of, you can pour into others as much as you want, but if your cup's not full, it does you and everyone else in your life a disservice. So, like, my me time, even if it's a couple minutes, like when now we have 3 kids, like it just shifts, and that's okay. I'm not upset about that at all. I love the changes that have occurred in my life. But I always have to find something, whether it's a camera, or whether I used to be sketching when I was younger, writing poetry. I still write today. Listening to music, making playlists. Like, I have a lot of different buckets that I can use to fill my own cup up. Sometimes it takes 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes I have an hour and a half to do something. I'll still play video games. So there's a lot of different things creatively that I do. Photography is my main one for sure. But there has to be ways for me to take a step back, have some time to reflect, take photos, listen to music or something like that, so that everything else that I do in life, work-wise or personal, I'm able to put that effort into. Everyone's always like jokes about in my life, like, you have energy all the time. You don't need a lot of sleep. I'm a morning person. Like, why are you the way that you are? 'Cause I'm always on go. Like, I just have energy. My dog's the same way. That's another reason I am able to do that. If I didn't have, I don't think I'd be the same kind of person. I'd be running on fumes. I would be trying to do that and do what I do today, but I would be running on fumes because I didn't have what I needed to feel full to be able to do that. So
when I started this podcast, that's where I was at. I every day was on fumes. I would get up. I'm a morning person myself. I love 5:30, 6 in the morning because it's quiet. I can do what I need to do for me. And my wife is a night owl. So there's conflict because I like going to bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock. She can stay up. It's crazy to me. She can sleep for 2 hours and have the whole day. Right. And she's a teacher. So she's constantly being bombarded with lots of kids, but she's a trooper, man. But for me, I always tried to, before I moved to the company I'm with right now, I've been with them for almost 3 years. The last company I would be there we open at 10. I'd be there at 7 getting work done. We close at 6. I'd be there till 9 getting work done. So I was putting all my energy into a company that really didn't care about me. Like they could have let me go and not cared, but I wanted to be the best employee because that's how I was raised. Work hard, be the best you can be, and that's how you move forward. When I finally realized that I wasn't going to get any further in that company, and I started doing I'd get there at 5 to 10 and I'd leave at 6:02. They didn't like it because they weren't getting 6 hours extra labor for free. Yeah. Right. And
funny how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I left, I thought I'd be sad because I'd been with them for quite a while and I wasn't. And now this new company, I show up, we open at 9, we're there till 5:30. I'm 8:50. I'm there. And then I'm gone by, 5 or sometimes maybe 10 after 5:40. I'm gone and I'm home with my family every day. We're eating dinner at the dinner table together, which is such an important part of life.
100%.
And we got away from it for a while, so everybody was just kind of wherever they wanted.
Yeah.
But then I don't know what's going on in my kids' lives. And knowing what your children are doing, like I'm very fortunate. We had, my first divorce was awful. I raised 4 kids on my own for 10 years. And it was a struggle for sure. Like we were down there and we were pretty close to poverty because I quit a career to be home with my kids. What a man does. Yeah. That's what we do. Yeah. We got to take care of our family. Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of gave up on all of that. And it was weird. It was weird for me. I gave up on hey, just as long as you guys are eating, as long as you're good, I'm happy. But now that I'm with my current wife, she has 2 kids, so we're a blended family to create the 6.
Awesome.
My youngest son is 19, like just turned 19. He's working hard in construction, just bought his truck. Like I'm watching him do this stuff and it makes me so proud because I can see he has that work ethic I had. Yeah. But with a twist, he also has seen the fact that I no longer give free time. So he leaves work right on time. If they ask him to stay late, he goes, okay, but it's going to be marked down as overtime, right? Like he's very much, he's conscious of his own time. And that's so important for the younger generations to understand. Work hard, but be conscious of yourself. Be conscious of the time you need to be creative.
And fill your cup. Yeah. And
exactly.
That's awesome to hear. I'm congratulations on that because I'm a dad now. And that's what I hope when my daughter's 19, when my boys are 19, I hope that I can look at them like I want them to be better than I am at 19 than I was. But if I can see that they took some of the things that Chelsea and I are teaching them, like things like that, respect your time, be around the people that, help you or allow you to fill your own cup and all that kind of stuff, then that's success as a parent for me in my eyes is like making sure that they're healthy, they're secure with who they are, and that they can find time to do all that. That's important.
And learning to apologize when things are, when things get a little sideways, going through that time, I was angry. I had divorce to deal with and 4 kids on my own and no money and trying to keep a house over my head. So, I was super snappy. My level of temper was pretty high. And what I've learned over the time is, what I did affected my children for sure with the way I'd be angry and quick-witted and snappy and all of that. But every one of my kids still calls me. My 2 boys still live at home. My 2 daughters are superstars. They're out on their own. My oldest is 30. So, she's got 2 kids. She's living life, having a great time. My youngest is going into her last year of university. So she lives with her boyfriend over in North Vancouver by their school. And I'm just watching all of my kids grow fast.
Yeah.
And it's neat to see, like, through all of the garbage and nonsense we went through, they'll sit down and they'll be like, "Thanks, Dad." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "I watched you give away every ounce of your energy to us, to your job, to make sure we all stayed together, we had a roof over our head, and we had food to eat."
Yeah.
In the end, that's all it's about. They don't care about how much money we had in the bank. They cared about the fact that they had food, a roof over their head, and a place that was solid and steady. I wish I would have known that, but I wish I would have known that 10 years ago. It would have made my transition through that session of my life so much easier.
Yeah. Think we're all, no matter what age you are, obviously toddlers and kids are still like learning and figure out life, but no matter if I'm 31 next week, 40s, like we're all trying to figure this life thing out. There's no playbook. There's no science as to who you should pick to spend your life with. Like we're all trying to figure that stuff out. And like, who knows, like depending on how life could have gone differently back for you then, like you might not be here right now having this podcast and speaking with different photographers and finding that spark in 2019. Like I think it's very important to have that kind of almost like mental battle with yourselves. Like, I wish I'd known that back then, but like, I'm almost glad that I didn't, because now look where I am. It's like, you got to give yourself some grace, because as much as we want to figure everything out right away and like know it all, I think it's better that we don't. Cause I think that's what amplifies and improves our growth in life. Is like, now we're connected. Might not have been if you had made some different decisions, or if I made some different decisions back then. I might not have a camera. I might not have. Like, for example, I think about if I didn't have that moment of clarity, or maybe if I did and I pushed past it and went to another workout later that season, maybe made practice squad that year, and I was like, okay, maybe try it for the next season. May not have had our daughter. Like, who knows how the thing could have happened? So it's like, I take everything as it goes. I don't regret anything in my life. I don't regret any of the choices that I made, decisions that I've made or mistakes, because it all works out.
Oh, everything that we deal with. So when my children or people are having issues, I'm always like, hey, just remember, it's only a speed bump in our journey. It's nothing. It's not catastrophic. My kids, they go through relationships in high school, and you'll experience all this soon. Let me tell you. Yeah. But like, I'm a very protective father. I will do anything for any of my children, my friends' children. You don't mess with kids. You mess with kids, you're getting angry Tyson's coming out.
Yeah, no.
They bring their first boyfriends home or their first girlfriends home, and I sit there and I'm like, let me see how this kid interacts with me. If he comes in my house and doesn't, he's walking into my family space, if he doesn't acknowledge me, he doesn't walk up and shake my hand, say, hello, nice to meet you, I'm not a fan. And it's not that I demand that kind of respect. I still walk into people's homes and shake their hand. I do that with my father-in-law. Still, yeah. I walk in, how you doing? Shake his hand, because that's a respectful thing to acknowledge, like, hello, thank you, you allowed me in your space. And I've only ever had two of the boyfriends do that. And they're the two boyfriends that are still with them.
Yeah.
And that means a lot. It's that you can see that they were raised in a certain way, that you're okay letting your baby girl go and be around. I do.
Yeah, standard.
And, it's important. It's really important to establish. I want to have a good relationship with them. I don't want them to be on a bad side with me. I just want to know that, my daughter, this baby, this person that I love more than anything in the world, is in safe hands. Right? Yeah. So it's an experience, right? It's a growth. It's learning to let go of things. So I don't know if you've heard the James Rice episode that I did. I let a lot of my traumatic past out, and that made me really think, like, if I would have continued my father's way of raising, my kids would be a disaster. because, you know, I broke that chain.
Yeah.
I refused to be that person.
Yeah.
So it's all about making a decision, like you said. We can't regret the things we do. We can just learn from them.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you have any advice or wisdom you can share with the listeners, whether it's athletic related, photography related, or just life related?
I think I like all encompassing wisdom. I don't mean I'm 31, so I'm about to be 31. I don't know how much wisdom I can have at this age. Still got a lot of life
You'd be
to live,
surprised,
hopefully.
man. I've learned a lot
Um,
from people your age, and I'm rolling up to 50.
Okay.
And it's neat because it's a different generation, right? So
Good.
what you have as wisdom is something I never thought
Yeah.
of. So that carries through everybody.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
or even life mottos, man, like whatever keeps you focused on your goal at hand.
Yeah. I think you hear it a lot. Sometimes it can feel like a buzz phrase, but I think for me, like a couple things, like controlling what I can control allows me to keep a steady mindset. I don't stress about a lot. I don't freak out about a lot of things that happen. Like I take time, I assess my emotions, whatever they may be. I validate those, but I also take time to assess the situation. Like, okay, what did I do? Like, why is this the outcome? Could I have changed this? Could I have done better in certain situations? A lot of the time it's yes. What could I have improved? Did I control all that I can control? Yes. Cool. Did I not? Okay, no. Now, how can I prevent this from happening again? Or how can I repeat this if it was a positive? Because there's positive and negative consequences in life. Um, I said it earlier. Like I move like water. I kind of go with the flow. I know that life is it's complex. There's a lot of moving parts. I'm a dad now. I'm a husband. I got 4 other people in my household, including the dog. So um, sometimes you just have to we try and plan things, and they don't work out all the time. You just go with it. And then I I did it. I made sweatshirts with it as an acronym. I didn't. It's nothing crazy that I made up, but like positivity, creativity, and love. Those are the 3 things that I kind of live my life by. I try to lead everything that I do with positivity. I know that there's obstacles that bring that positivity down a little bit, bring it right back up. I work very hard to do that. Um, Creativity, no matter what you do, whether it's in an art form, whether you create at work in finance, like you can be a creative person no matter what situation you're in. You're creating things, you're creating ideas, creating proposals, creating art, whatever it may be. That's another big thing. And then love. I think that's the base of everything. Like I love photography. I love my family. I love the people in my life. I love what I do at work. Um, I try very hard to find things that I love and keep those things very close to me. Um, because again, those are the things in my life that help me feel full, that give me the energy to wake up and go to work every day, to pick up a camera and take photos, to make dinner for my family at night. Like those are the things that help those. So, a few different things, but those are definitely the main pieces of advice I probably
I
give.
mean, so much to hear. Like, you know, if you don't love what you do, it's such a strain and struggle for yourself. You're conflicted. It's like my previous job. I no longer loved what I did.
Yeah.
You know, so it's so important to do that. What's your next plan photography wise? What are you looking to do?
I'm working on. I've been working on like a beach project for a very long time, few years now. I'm already starting to kind of curate how I want that book to look. I want to make a book out of that. I have like a gold project in mind. It's related to football, former and current players that I just don't have the time to do right now. But I'm trying. I have I formulated what I want it to look like. It's just a matter of like when I can have time to see these athletes. Um, capture those photos, make it into a book. But that's that's one of the main projects that I want to foresee myself accomplishing one day. Outside of that, it's like a lot of this stuff is very personal. I have a running project of my wife and daughter. Now I'm working to figure out, if I'm going to do it, what kind of project I'm going to do with my twins. Like a lot of my stuff is very personal. I'm always taking photos, whether they're related to a project or not. But I think the projects, long form projects, a lot of them are long form. I have a lot of years that I can create photos and figure out if I'm going to make it into a book. Do I want to try and have a small exhibit one day, like here in Charlotte? Like I have no idea. I just know I want to continue making photos. I want to figure out different projects to accomplish and start and end and finish. And that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm all film right now, which is funny. I got my M6, I got a Pentax 6.7 and a Minolta X700, and those are my three. I have a point and shoot too, but I don't have a digital camera anymore besides my iPhone, which I do use. But film definitely is something that I love a lot, and it kind of keeps me in the moment with the kids. I know you can do that with the digital camera. I'm not saying you can't, but for me, it's a practice that I like and enjoy a little bit more with my family. So I'll keep that going, and I'll probably get a digital camera again in a couple of years. But I'm trying to force myself and enjoy this ride as long as I can.
That's amazing. There's just something special about film. I don't do a lot of film. It's something that I haven't. I mean, I came into this not knowing anything about film. I happen to have a decent film camera. But like the textures, do you print your photos? Do you keep books of negatives? Do you just keep all of that stuff for like?
I need to be better at archiving I have my negatives. I need to be better. I started to do it a couple of years ago when we first moved in here, and they're sitting in the boxes that they came in. So I got to be better at archiving that. Digitally, I'm pretty good at it. But I do print. I'm trying to print more, especially photos of because my daughter's starting to really like looking at photos on a phone or iPad. But I want to start printing more smaller photos with her so she can look at them. Like we looked at them when we were younger in photo books and stuff. So I try to each year around Christmas time create a Shutterfly book of the entire year of just our family, immediate family. So my wife and our kids, and that's it. So hopefully I actually did not do it last year. I got to do it for last year. But I want to have a continuous stack of our annual photo books for the year. That's something I kind of want to keep doing. That's a great
way to keep memories, right? I remember going to grandma's house and flipping through those photo books. It's weird. It's just that tactile feel. It's like you remember them a little bit more, right?
Yeah. Different it is a little different on a phone and iPad. It's still, you get the same feeling, but to being able to hold it, I have vinyls, I have film cameras, I have a lot of older tools because that process I think is still valuable.
For sure. I know we got to wrap it up here because I know your wife's on her way out. But KJ, where can people find you? Where's the best place for them to send you a message?
I'm on Instagram through Safari. I have Instagram on my iPad. I deleted it off my phone just because I want to be on it less, and I can use it on my iPad from time to time. I'm on Threads and now X, Twitter. I'm not on Twitter as much as I used to be, but you reach out to me on any of those, I'll find it at least in a day or so. And then I have a website, kjbrent.com, that desperately needs to be updated, which I will probably try and do within the next couple of weeks. But yeah, those are the areas that I'm on. And
perfect. I will make sure I add all the links in the show notes. Any final words before we sign off?
No, nothing but thank you. I enjoy listening to these kind of conversations. I'm not typically in these episodes or in the middle of these, so I like having conversations about life, photography. Again, different perspectives, like your perspective on your own life, and what I like about even telling my own story. I don't tell my own story a lot, but when I do, it kind of I always get another nugget. I forgot about this. I forgot how I felt during this time, and it's just good. I think everyone from beginning of time, humanity, storytelling, I think, is the biggest thing that has transcended all generations. I think storytelling is one of the most important things that we can do. So I enjoy it. I appreciate what you do.
And that's why I do it, is every time I tell my own story and I intertwine with my guest story, I find something new. And I no longer question, I could have done this, I could have done that. But I find this little piece of power that allows me to understand that no matter what I went through, I control what happens to me in the future. And these little bits of positivity and power nuggets that I find in not only the story you shared, because yes, I'm 20 years older than you, but I understand that struggle and how hard you worked to reach the league, but now as a father, as a photographer trying to create an image or something in your life that is transcending of many years, many generations.
Yeah.
It can be very trying and struggle, but your outlook on it, KJ, is phenomenal. The way you try to carry yourself every single day, you're going to have nothing but success. And I'm very grateful that we've connected. I look forward to chatting more, and I look forward to seeing the books that you put out. And make sure you let me know when they're coming out, and I'll make sure I grab some. I'm a photo book fanatic, so I've got too many.
They're good to have. Good to collect.
Sir. Well, we'll let your wife get going. I appreciate your time today. If you ever just want to shoot the stuff, just let me know, and I'll fire you my number, and we can,
Yeah.
I'm always here. So whatever you need, let me know.
Yeah. We'll definitely stay connected, hop on the phone, talk shop. I like doing that too, because like seasons of photography can change.
Exactly.
So definitely. So shoot me your number and we'll stay connected.
Enjoy the rest of your day. And again, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I'm going to go shoot some photos for a bit.
Enjoy it, man. Enjoy it. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Life of Phys Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our chat, and don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you the stories of our incredible guests. And remember to stay connected with us on all social media platforms. It's at THE_LIFE_OF_PHYS, or on the web at www.thelifeofphys.com. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.